Oh my goodness. So we had a lot happening with Virgo last week. And I remember on last week's episode, we talked about how people would be finding perhaps a lot more clarity in their lives, depending on, where they had the Mercury Cazimi hitting their chart. And so I'd love to hear from folks in the comments. Let us know what was something new that you found out in this last week? Was there some kind of aha moment? But how are you doing, Scott?
Well, I'm great. I'm great, Lisa. So happy to be here.
Yes. So I think I failed to introduce ourselves properly on the last episode. So, because we had some new folks that joined
Oh,
in, and then I realized at the end, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even tell people like who we were. They may have just like stumbled across us. Which we love too. But so, Scott, you are an astrologer and a podcaster. You have your podcast called The Weekly Transit, and your website is theweeklytransit.com. And I am Dallisa. I'm a fifth generation psychic medium. I make a lot of predictions. And all of my work is over at spiritandspark.com. And we also, like late breaking news, had a ton of people register to win with that magic word from last week. Because if people have been watching this for a while, they know what I'm talking about. But every week we give away a personalized 12-month tarot report where I sit down and shuffle the cards and make this report for somebody to give them insight into the next 12 months. And typically we have a jar up on the screen. And every time somebody would comment on the live stream, their little bauble would go in the jar and we'd pull a winner. But we decided to change it up for a couple weeks and see what the feedback is. And so last week was the first week, and people could click on a link and enter the magic word from the September 9th episode and enter to win that tarot report. And we're doing again this episode, but you don't know when I'm going to give out the magic word. We're going to mix it up. You got to watch the whole episode. And you can enter again this week, and we'll do another winner, another drawing, and then we'll announce both winners from the September 9th and September 16th episodes next week on September 23rd. So, how do you feel about the shakeup with the weekly prize drawing?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I don't really like change too much. I feel like I miss the jar. And I love seeing the little baubles going in the jar. It's kind of fun. But I'm open to the change, Delisa. Like you've got a lot of mutability, so you're really good for me and all of my fixed energy to help get me out of my ruts. And so, I'm excited and I support you with your new idea. And, from the comments last week, people seem to really like it and we're excited about it. So, yeah.
Yeah. But let us know. You can always weigh in the comments on this video. Did you like the jar better, or do you like that you can enter to get that tarot report? Maybe you're one of the lucky winners. So let's see what the audience says, and then we'll make our final decision of how we're going to move forward. And we may even have more prizes to add to the mix as we go along. So we're definitely open to that as well. But just something fun for the community, you know. Scott and I have been working together for a while and doing a lot of content together over the last few years. And these weekly shows really give us an opportunity to connect with everybody, either through the live chat or the comments that we get after the episode. So we love hearing from everybody. So we got a big show today. And because it's so big, we're going to focus solely on these astrological aspects slash transits that are happening because one of them is the eclipse. So we're going to get to that in just a bit and do a bit of a deep dive because it's a big deal. And I think it's worth really taking our time going through that. So if you're looking for an eclipse survival guide, we've got that for you. We'll be helping you through that. But first, I feel like we should talk about September 18th, Mercury in Libra. So, you're the astrologer, I'm the psychic, but when I think about Mercury going into Libra, the word I hear psychically is softening.
Hmm.
So our words, our communication softening. I hope that's the case. What do you normally find when Mercury, the planet, goes through the sign of Libra?
So Mercury's the messenger of the gods, guide of souls to the underworld, the planet of consciousness, communication, coordination, the god of merchants and thieves. It's going to be transiting through the cardinal air sign, symbolized by the scales and ruled by Venus, the goddess of love, from September 18th to October 6th. So it is, I guess, like a softening, or it's a smoothing out. It's like Libra is about balance. It's about harmony. It's about peace, equanimity, fairness. So on one side of the coin, because there's two sides to every coin, and nothing is good or bad. It's all how we're working with the energy. On one side of the Mercury and Libra coin, we're going to be able to maybe be a little better of listeners. We'll be able to hear what's going on with the other person, and sharing their ideas, and maybe we're a little more charming in the way that we're communicating to others. On the other side of the coin, we might be really kind of stuck in our point of view, and things don't feel fair. And it's like it's not fair the way that you've been speaking to me, or the you decided this, and so I'm on this side now, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. So that's more the extreme version of the other side of the coin. So I would just ask those who are watching now or later on, are there any conflicts that need to be hashed out right now? I feel like when Mercury's in Libra, it's a good time to address some conflicts. If something feels out of balance in any of your relationships, cardinal energy is about initiating. The cardinal signs are the ones, when the sun's in a cardinal sign, it's the beginning of the new season. So, what conversations would you like to initiate in your relationships in order to create better balance, harmony, equanimity, fairness, peace?
Mm. When I think of Libra, I think of those scales of justice.
Hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, Libra is the only zodiac sign that has like an object as its symbol, those scales.
Living creature.
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying about Mercury going into Libra, and like a high form of that would be really being able to communicate in a way that feels balanced, harmonious, coming together, maybe in more of an equal way with people of all kinds, all different kinds of relationships. It could be romantic, it could be work, your child, your parent, whatever that looks like, because it touches our relationships.
Hmm.
But that low form, if I heard you right, can incorporate in more of like the tipping of those scales
Hmm.
to where one person feels wronged, or they feel like you've been taking too much in this or that aspect. And so
Yes.
then they feel like they want to grab it back, or they
Yeah.
want to take it back. Maybe they want to stomp out of the room, symbolically or literally. Um, but our communications and all relationships feel front and center. So yeah, does that sound accurate?
It's right on the money. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What else does Libra rule outside of relationships and balance and harmony?
Uh, Beauty. It's about like, what do you like? Venus is the senses. It's not just relationships, but it's the senses. It's what looks good, it's what smells good, it's what tastes good, it's what sounds good. And so when I think of Libra, I think of like, what do you like to enjoy with other people? Or what do you want to share with others? What do you find to be beautiful? What do you find to be uh, aesthetically pleasing? Uh, is there music? Like I think of Libra as like one of the signs to me that rules music because there's harmony in music, harmony in sound. I think of Pisces, I think of Libra, I think of Gemini in terms of the lyricist, but Libra is about the beautiful sounds and poetry, the spoken word, eloquence. But, like you said, also justice, fairness. Yes.
So I'm also hearing that this could be a really delicious time to get into your heart
Mm,
and write a piece of music or a poem or a love letter to the person that you feel attracted to.
yes. I love that. Absolutely. Yes. Communicate love. It's an air sign. An air is the communicative signs. So, anyone who's a Libra or a Libra moon, you got to admit, you love to talk. You love to express whatever's going on with you. My wife is a Libra, and I like to tease her about going into her monologue mode, where she's just, uh, sharing her stream of consciousness with me uh, because she loves me and she wants my perspective on things. Or I don't even know if she wants my perspective sometimes. I think she just wants to share her perspective and bounce it off of me. But, so there is that with Libra. So writing a letter, expressing yourself. And like my wife, she writes the most beautiful cards to me. They're so inspiring and thoughtful. And she is an incredible writer. Libras are often really incredible writers because they have a way with words.
Hmm. And we all have Libra in our natal, our birth chart, our astrological code that we were born with. And we just need to look at our chart, or I know you do individual sessions too, but look at your chart and see like where do you have Libra? And that is where Mercury is going through in your own life, your own chart. And so you can look up what house it's in, and that'll give you a clue as to which area of your life these themes are being activated. Because I think just off the top of my head, if somebody had Libra in the 12th, for example, I think this could be an excellent time to go deep within your subconscious mind and maybe write that love letter to yourself, and really ask like, who am I? Maybe that's a first house kind of thing, but going deep, deep, deep down within yourself to discover what makes you who you are and all the love that you have for yourself.
Mm.
So maybe that's kind of a 12th house, first house kind of theme.
Yes. I think of, well, 12th house, I would think, maybe it's like sharing your dreams, sharing your unconscious, doing dream work with another person. Can I share my dream with you? I had this really crazy dream last night and they want to just open up. Yeah, like that's the 12th house Libra vibe. The first house would be more as like, it's that you complete me vibe, where it's like I don't really I find that people that are Libra rising, they really like to do things with other people.
Hmm.
They're not really solitary creatures. They feel better when they have somebody with them. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner, but it's like, let's go for a hike. You want to go for a hike with me, or you want to go shopping with me, or you want to do anything with me. It's like, it's just to have that tandem. And because, you're getting clarity on yourself through the person that you're with.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. That's fun to think about, because relationships really are our biggest mirror. And I know first house or rising sign of Libra, that is the house of self. And to learn about yourself through other people, that's a great way to think about it. So, those of you that have Libra in the 12th or the first, you really kind of got that locked and loaded of how to potentially work with that. But really, really helpful. So the house that people have Libra in, do you think that a question they could ask themselves once they discover which house 1 through 12 they have Libra in, that maybe there could be important conversations in that sector, that area of their life that need to be had? Do you think because Mercury's going through that particular house, that that could give clues as to where big conversations or clarity around what needs to be said shows
Yeah.
up for them?
Conversations, clarity, but like, where do I need help? Because Libra's partnership. So if Mercury is transiting through the whatever house it is that you were born with Libra transiting through, like, the first house, let's stick with that. It's like, where do I need help understanding something about myself that I'm missing? So maybe that's why I want to spend time with Dallisa, because when I talk to Dallisa, I get greater clarity in terms of who I am and what I'm missing. And I feel like I'm missing some things about myself. And so uh, by having that conversation, now I am seeing the parts of myself that I was missing before. If it was like, the fifth house, let's say, which is the house of children, that's fun and playfulness. And so it's like, it's about doing something fun with somebody. Let's do something. Like, do you enjoy fill in the blank? Yes. Okay, well, let's go do that together, because it's more fun doing it together than by ourselves.
Oh, I love that. And I happen to have Libra in the fifth.
Okay. So
And so
see,
I'm like, yes, I know that we're talking about this transit, but I often find myself feeling like I need to have a helper that helps me have more fun because I would just work all the time. And the other example that comes to mind is if somebody had Libra in the 10th house of their own chart, that maybe you feel like work, your work, what you do professionally is out of balance, and you're looking for someone to help you maybe get some prioritization or draw some boundaries when it comes to your work life. But that's what comes up for 10th house. It's just an example. Yeah.
somebody who's born with Libra in the 10th house is going to thrive in achieving their goals with another person. You're
Oh, okay.
doing it on your own.
Yeah.
Uh, Somebody else that's going to help you climb to the top of the mountain. And ideally, you're also helping them climb to the top of their mountain. There's a balance there. So 10th house Libra, they when you think of that's career, but it's really like goals and ambitions, like you need support, and you need to be supporting someone else as well as you ascend.
So juicy. So juicy. So just one more example. So somebody has Libra in the 7th house, and 7th house is the other person. Then do you think somebody that has Libra in the 7th house, because I do think we plot out our astrology chart before we're born, do you think somebody with Libra in the 7th is really trying to nail relationships in this lifetime? Like they're really trying to understand how to be a good partner?
I think so, because if you're born with Libra in the seventh house, that means that you're an Aries rising. And so your personality is right there in the front. You're very authentic. People know who you are. You wear it all on your sleeve. You're not hiding from, this is who I am. But you're looking for a partner that's going to kind of balance that out. That's maybe going to be a little more chill, because you're going to
Mm.
bring the energy. If you're a Libra rising, you're the one that's like, hey, what's up, everyone? How are you? Like, I'm Scott, and it's like you're just going up to random strangers and just introducing yourself. Meanwhile, your partner, who is emanating that Libra frequency, is going to be more laid back, more chill, more balanced in their energetic expression. And they're going to teach you how to really see things from the other person's perspective. It's like, great. So you are who you are and you're very authentic, and that's awesome. But just because you see the world from your perspective doesn't mean that that's the only perspective to see the world. There's also my perspective, which is maybe a little different than yours sometimes.
Oh, it's so good. I have a feeling not only are people watching this pulling out their own chart, but they're going to be looking at the chart of their significant other to see where they have Libra. Um, can be so telling when it comes to our energy around relationships and ourselves and another, and what we get from those relationships and what we give, and maybe what that energy signature is. But wow, fascinating. Yeah. Is there anything else about Mercury going into Libra on September 18th that you want to add?
So, one thing that I do on my podcast that I'm happy to do here as well is like I always like to read the dates of the last few times
Oh,
that
yeah.
a planet has transited through a sign because it gives insight into maybe what you're gonna be experiencing this time around. So from September 18th to October 8th, Mercury transits through Libra. The last time that Mercury transited through Libra was September 26th to October 13th, 2024. The time before that was October 4th to the 21st of 2023. The time before that was like staggered. It was like a two-time period because it was during a Mercury retrograde where Mercury moved into one sign and then retrograded back and so on and so forth. So that was August 25th to 20 September 23rd of 2022, and then October 10th to the 29th of 2022. So there was two sections there. And then there was a really long period in 2021 because Mercury was retrograde throughout Libra, which was August 29th to November 5th, 2021. So you can see that was like a couple months where it was like almost 3 months where Mercury typically spends about 3 weeks when it's not retrograde in a sign. Less than that, maybe even like 2.5 weeks. So that was like September, October, part of November and August. So it was like 2.5 months. But go back and look at your emails or your text messages or your photos and see if you can find any images or anything that's tied to those dates, and maybe it brings something up for you that's like, oh wow, that's what was happening during that period, and kind of clues you into what you might experience this time around. Also, to anyone who is born with key astrological points or planets in Cancer or Capricorn, there might be some tension for you during this period because uh, Cancer is cardinal water, Capricorn's cardinal earth, Libra is cardinal air. So they're all cardinal, but water and earth don't mix with air. So there's tension. So if you were born, let's say, with Mercury in Cancer or Mercury in Capricorn, whenever Mercury hits that same degree in Libra that squares off with your Mercury, there might be mental tension. Maybe things are going haywire. Maybe your schedule is a mess, or things are coming up out of the blue that are you thought you were organized, and then all of a sudden you get thrown off. But that tension, whatever you're feeling in those moments, is encouraging you to say, can you help me to anyone you're in relationship with? Because Libra is relationships. So when you're in those tense moments, ask for help and accept help if it feels fair and measured and balanced when it's offered to you.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, because some people that have the Cancer, Capricorn, maybe they've got Sun, Moon, Rising, Mars, Mercury, or Venus in there, and they hear that and they're like, "Oh, oh no!" But you just gave a great tip, which was because we all go through stuff like that. We all have tension, whether it's inside of our head or with another person, and it's great that we have this ask for help, and when someone offers you help, take it. So that's a great way to work with the energy, because sometimes I've noticed in folks that get a lot of anxiety, or they get really stressed out, that they may shelter within themselves and not want to get anyone else involved, or they don't want to ask anyone for help because they think it's a mess or whatever the reason is. So you're hearing it straight from Scott. Ask for help.
Yes, and one other final note is like for everyone, like if you're a parent out there, if you're You have kids that were born between 2008 and basically now or last year. Mercury is going to be squaring your child's Pluto. So they're going to go through a difficult transformation experience in terms of how they communicate and how they process relationships and communicating within those relationships. Their sense of authority is being challenged in some way, and they might be pushing back to maintain or establish greater balance for them. It's like I'm old enough now, mom. You can't tell me what to do. Maybe that kind of stuff happening if they're in the teenage years.
I think knowledge is power, right? So somebody hearing out there, because there was a bunch of people that just heard those dates, those years, 2008 to now, and they're going, oh my God. But again, knowledge is power. And so if they know that that is what's happening in their child's chart, I see like light bulbs going off where they're like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. And then they might go, well, what do we do about that? So what if you had a client coming to you saying, my child has this going on. I think you said it was Mercury square Pluto. Um, and they're like, yeah, they're bucking authority or they're going up against authority figures. They're trying to find their own voice, their own power. What is there something that you would suggest to parents in that time frame, or would you give them like, oh, here's the date where it'll be over, so they at least have like a tunnel that they're going towards? Like, how do you typically handle that?
Well, this is going to be a blip because Mercury's moving really quickly. So I don't anticipate. Who knows what else is going on in their chart? So it could be bigger than a blip. But say, for instance, if your child was born in 2010, they're 14, 15 years old now. They're in the teen years. In the early part of so I would say like right around September 18th, 19th, 20th, right around those dates is when there's going to be some sort of challenge with communication with that child, and maybe they are trying to take more authority for themselves. So what I would recommend is if it comes up, say, "Great, let's negotiate this," because that's what Libra is all about. It's the diplomat. It's the diplomat. And so everything we can negotiate. So if you want more, autonomy or authority, you have to show me that you have been responsible enough to receive that authority, because Capricorn's about responsibility, it's about work, it's about authority. In order to get the authority, you have to show that you're responsible. So if you can show me, my 14-year-old child, that you're responsible, then okay, that feels balanced. I'll give you some more authority.
Great insight. Yeah, I think we can all work with that. And it's just a reminder to all of us, whether we have children or not, that our relationships, there's negotiations happening all the time. And so somebody's trying to take more, or you feel like you've taken too much. See what you can do to try to anchor a conversation into a maybe casual negotiation.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, let's move on to Venus going into Virgo. That is September 19th. Venus and Virgo. So when I hear about Venus and Virgo as a psychic, I think about nitpicking. I I think of like you get a brand new outfit that you're super jazzed about, and you go and show up with a group of friends to dinner, and that one friend who always has an opinion about everything looks at you and really questions your choice of outfit. I know that is very oddly specific, but that's what I think about when I hear Venus going into Virgo. But what do you what can you tell us about that and like how to work with that energy?
Yes, I mean it is critical, and it's like I find that the people that were born with Venus in Virgo are quite, they're looking for the perfect partner.
Ooh,
It's never quite perfect. You can always find something wrong. You're always looking for that one little flaw, that one little thing. It's like, oh, I found it. There's the red flag. It's like, so, but Venus is the goddess of love, the planet of relationships. It's, Virgo is the mutable earth sign symbolized by the Virgin, which is why it's that perfectionist. It's ruled by Mercury. So, Mercury, the planetary ruler of Virgo, is transiting through Libra, which is ruled by Venus. And Venus is transiting through Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. So, I think there's some really nice synastry between these two planets transiting through the sign that the other one rules. And it's kind of happening along the same time. I mean, Mercury's in Libra from September 18th to October 6th. Venus is in Virgo from September 19th to October 13th. So it's just a little bit longer than Mercury in Libra. And so maybe if you're feeling that kind of critical analytical nature, whether it's you putting that on your partner or them on you with Mercury in Libra, it's going to open some things up for, oh, okay, I guess maybe we should have a conversation about this. Because if you are upset that I am fill in the blank, well, we can talk about that. But in order to come to the table and talk about that, we need to talk about this other thing that you're doing, So let's lay it all out on the table. Your criticisms of me, my criticisms of you, and let's figure out how to balance this out, how to create peace and harmony in our relationship.
wow. So yeah, with Mercury and Venus doing what they're doing in their respective signs that we just went over, I think that those could, as you said, complement each other really beautifully if we're using them in a high form. If
Absolutely.
not, I mean, this could be roughly 3 to 4 weeks where we might be overly critical or someone else may be overly critical of us. And it could be a real tension point in a relationship. And so if we're already thinking to ourselves about all of the different relationships we have in our life, personally, professionally, if there is one that has already some tension or you feel it kind of bubbling under the surface, you may find that this time period could feel a bit crunchy as you're trying to navigate it. And so taking your time and thinking about what it is that you want to say, how you want it to be conveyed, could help to save the relationship, especially if it's one that's already on shaky ground.
Totally. I mean, the phrase that keeps coming up for me here is don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. It's like don't get rid of a relationship over something really small. And Venus and Virgo might make something really small magnified. And because of that, you may throw out a relationship or eliminate a relationship. And maybe that's what needs to happen. I'm not saying don't do it, but just be really mindful of what you're looking at. You're looking at something really small that is magnified. So if that matters to you, then maybe it is time to eliminate that relationship or eliminate something about that relationship, or take the initiative to have the conversation that it is bothering you and we need to have a conversation about this. I want to make it work, but I've really noticed this blemish that seems small, but when I look at it under a microscope, it seems really, really nasty. And it's kind of like a rock in my shoe. It's a tiny little pebble in my shoe about our relationship that's starting to hurt my heel, and eventually it's going to hurt my ankle, and then I'm going to need a knee replacement and a hip replacement and back surgery because of this tiny little pebble. And so I really want to get it out of my shoe. Can you help me with that?
Ooh, you just gave people like the opening line to a potentially very crunchy conversation. I love that. I love that. Great tips. We're going to talk about the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo at 29 degrees next. But before I do that, this is the time I'm giving our audience the magic word from this week. So, anybody that wants to enter to win that 12-month personalized tarot report, I have included the link in the description of this video and I have pinned it as a comment. And your magic word for this week is bird, BIRD, like a bird flying in the sky. So, make sure you type in that magic word bird and you'll be entered to win that tarot report. Make sure you check out the episode on September 23rd because both the September 9th and 16th winners will be announced on that show. So good luck to everybody who registers to win. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to this new moon solar eclipse in Virgo at 29 degrees, the final degree of Virgo. Mercy, mercy. So we've talked a lot about Virgo on recent episodes, and I keep getting this like clear out the junk, clear away what's not serving you. But I don't necessarily know how that works with a solar eclipse energy. And I typically think of eclipses as intense energy portals where a lot of things can happen in a short amount of time. So, how would you describe the vibe of this upcoming solar eclipse on September 21st?
It feels intense because it's at the final degree. And whenever something's at the final degree, I think of it as like, uh, it's like a champagne bottle that you're trying to pop open and somebody's shaking it up maybe, and it's like gonna explode. And so, uh, but I feel like it's really special too. I'm excited about this solar eclipse. Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe it's weird, but I just think it's really special because we had the first new moon in Virgo at 0 degrees, and I felt like that was about setting your intentions to reorganize your life. Because typically during the new moon, you want to set intentions for the coming cycle. And so you don't really want to do that during the eclipses. The energy is very intense. But when it was at 0 degrees, you're like, okay, what do I need to reorganize? What do I need to eliminate? How can I be more efficient? Setting my intentions to be more efficient, setting my intentions to really take care of what I'm putting into my body, how it's affecting my mind, what am I putting into my mind, how is it affecting my body, what am I doing from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. It's about getting your routine in order. And then we had the full moon lunar eclipse on September 7th, which was right in the middle of Pisces with the sun, right in the middle of Virgo at 15 degrees. So in Pisces, that's the second decan is Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is the mother. So it's about releasing fantasy, releasing that fantasy of the mother, that the mommy's going to take care of me, mommy's always going to look after me. It's like building upon that responsibility. It's like I have to take care of myself each and every day. Mommy's not cooking for me anymore. I'm, a middle-aged man. I need to cook for myself. I need to take care of my own diet. Mommy's not taking care of me anymore. So it's releasing that fantasy that my mom or another woman is going, this is my own example, is going to take care of me. From like a broader perspective, you can think about it in terms of the government or religion or science that are, they're going to take care of us. No, they're not. They're taking care of themselves. And they have always and always will take care of themselves before they take care of you. There is the illusion that they will take care of you because they do need you more than you need them. So that was releasing the fantasy of mothering or an over mothering. So that brings us to this solar eclipse, the final degree of Virgo. So it's the inhale, but it's really about, when you think about it energetically, the moon is crossing between the sun and the earth. Whereas the lunar eclipse is the earth crossing between the sun and the moon. So it blacks out the moon. This is blacking out the sun. And the sun is our identity. And so when you think about the identity, as the sun transits through Virgo, we're all learning what it's like to be a Virgo sun. Any Virgos out there? You know any Virgos? We all do. We get to experience what it's like to be them, to be very analytical, maybe critical, especially critical of ourselves, somebody who's really focused in on the details. And so when the moon crosses between the sun and the earth, we're clearing something off here. We're starting over. So maybe it's like, let's release some of the criticism. Let's release that overly analytical analysis paralysis, those sort of vibes. It's like, I'm already perfect. I'm already perfect. Does that mean I can't improve? No, I can improve in life. Does that mean that there are things that have happened in my life before this moment that I wish I could do differently? Yes, of course. But you are exactly as you were meant to be in every single moment of your life. And this solar eclipse is about accepting that and continuing the elimination process of anything that is cluttering your life, your schedule, your mind.
Mm. Feels like one big giant purge.
Yes. It's purging maybe actually physical items within your home or within your environment. It could be your office, like looking around your desk, like, do I really need everything that's on my desk to be here? It's carrying energy and I need to clear it out. Virgo rules the intestines. The intestines are breaking down whatever's in the body that is no longer serving the body. So when you clear that out, you feel lighter. We talked about that last week. And so with the Mercury Cazimi in Virgo. So it could be something physical. It could be something in the body. It could be your schedule. It could be your thought process. All of them are connected. So I don't really think it's exclusive to one. I think if you clear off your desk, you're going to clear your mind. You're going to clear your body. You're going to clear the energy. So what do you want to eliminate from your life? What is burdening you? What is holding you back? It might be the person that stares back at you in the mirror each and every day.
Kind of a sensitive question I have, but it's coming to mind. So, with a solar eclipse in Virgo, Virgo uh, being a sector of health for us, is a solar eclipse, and maybe this is more of the lunar eclipse we had September 7th, but if we know somebody that is in poor health, and maybe intuitively we feel that they are going to cross over soon. Have you seen any correlation in your own practice as an astrologer where eclipses could be a more natural exit point for people, especially one in Virgo, since it rules our health? Could this bring about people or pets exiting off of Earth and crossing over to the other side?
Maybe, maybe pets, because Virgo rules pets. Um, there is an interesting, this is one of those things where I would love to do like a study, and just get like the death records of every city, every county, every state, and just see if there's a jump, in different periods um, uh, where there's, astrological anomalies occurring, like an eclipse. There is one that jumps out to me, and this is kind of a crazy one. I was watching, it was a, it was like a drama show, TV show on Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer. And at the end, they were like, when he's in the electric chair, they're like, "Oh my God!" Of course, he's dying, and there's an eclipse literally happening as they're giving him the injection. And I looked it up, and they didn't make that up. That's exactly what happened. At the moment that the sun, I don't remember what sign it was in. I'd have to go back and look, but he he passed over. He was executed as the solar eclipse was literally happening where he was.
Wow. Wow.
Eerie?
Wow. That's,
Isn't that eerie? That's like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So
he's been a name, that people often talk about, especially in law enforcement or, the study of him over the years or people that are true crime junkies. I mean, he's one of the people that comes up over and over again.
it's
So,
solar eclipse in Sagittarius. No,
oh, interesting.
Sagittarius.
Okay. Sagittarius. All right.
Um, I think it was him, or maybe it was someone else. I don't know. I have to look. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was on that show Dahmer on Netflix.
Mm,
That's what it was.
hmm.
Yeah. So
Ooh,
yeah, eerie.
yeah, yeah, that is. And I personally had an issue with one of my cats here in Virgo season, with all this happening in Virgo, and I'm a Gemini rising, so I of course had to take him to the vet twice. And he got his shot, and he's recovering and all that, but yeah, I've seen a lot also on social media. Like I will occasionally go on and just look for a few moments. It's overwhelming to me, so I don't stay on there very long, but I've seen a lot of people post about their pets that have passed over.
Mm.
Um, and if anybody wants to leave the name of their pet that's passed recently in the comments, please do that if that helps you to share, the light and the love that you had with your pet. And that goes for humans too. If you have lost somebody recently, we'd love to hear from you, just to send you some good energy.
Absolutely.
Uh,
It's a
yeah,
tough time with the Virgo energy with pets. It can be really tough. So
yeah, yeah.
I want to make a correction actually.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't Jeffrey Dahmer, it was John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
And it was May 10th, so it was a Taurus solar eclipse. Yeah,
Wow.
that was yeah, it was that's what they were talking about on this net, but it was the Jeffrey Dahmer story Monster on Netflix that they were talking about this, so that's why I got them confused.
Gotcha. Yeah, they're both epically bad. But yeah, interesting that happened on that solar eclipse. So with this eclipse happening in Virgo at 29 degrees, I know as an amateur astrologer that people with Sun, Moon, Rising, Mars, Mercury, Venus in any of the mutable signs of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces is going to feel this more. But because it's at 29 degrees of the mutable signs, look in your own chart to see if you have anything in your own chart around those later degrees, or if you just have a bunch of planets in mutable signs. But I would assume the orb would widen out to like 0, 1 degree of the next sign. So
So,
how does that work? What should they look for?
I mean, so the next sign after Virgo is going to be Libra. So if you have anything in the 0, 1, 2 degrees in any of the cardinal signs, which are Libra, Capricorn, Aries, and Cancer, they're going to be hit hard by this solar eclipse because even though it's happening in a mutable sign, it's really close to the cardinal signs. And so I imagine. But you tell me, it's like I don't ever like to presume anything. So I'm always curious to hear from the people that are listening. And I guess maybe on the 20 next week, on that episode, people will be able to tell us, So I would encourage anyone listening now, if do you have any planets in early degrees of cardinal signs or late degrees of mutable signs, how did the eclipse feel to you? Because I don't really ever like to presume that I know how somebody's going to be experiencing something, even if I understand their astrological code. I'm giving my educated perspective, but, I'm not an omnipotent God, so I might be missing something.
Yeah, not in this lifetime, maybe next time. So when we think about that lunar eclipse we had earlier in September, which we've covered on a previous episode, and we talk about now this solar eclipse that's going to be happening, it sounds to me like one could be very emotional with the lunar eclipse earlier in September. But I'm trying to kind of key in on a few like words for this solar eclipse. So if the lunar eclipse could be emotional early September that we went through, what typically would we use as a few keywords to describe a solar eclipse?
Mm, wow.
Is because as you said, the light is cut off, right? Like the light to parts of the
Yeah,
planet from the sun, right?
yes. I mean, the thing is the moon is still heavily involved. So just because it's a solar eclipse doesn't mean there aren't feelings around this because the moon, you can't have a solar eclipse without the moon. Uh,
Truth.
so, uh, but solar eclipse is re-identification. It's the sun is identity. So it's a cleansing of your identity. It's maybe a restructuring or reshaping of your identity. Your identity is, you got to be open to the change that's occurring to how you identify. With Virgo, it's in terms of your daily life, your work, your health.
Yeah. Do you think that with the uh I guess you could say momentarily, but I don't know how many minutes this eclipse lasts this time around and who on earth can view it, but we'll all feel it. But because it has to do with the sun, do you think that there's more like potentially hidden information coming to light once the eclipse is over?
Maybe. Yeah. Especially when you use that word information and you think about Mercury, which is the planet of information or communication. And so, uh, there is some sort of maybe rewriting the script or tossing out the old script and getting a fresh page of how we're going to write our story moving forward. That
Yeah.
could be something, yes.
And just to recap, people would want to look at their own astrology chart and look for where Virgo's at to
Mhm.
see where this eclipse is going to activate in their life for more clues as to what this new identity or this new page that's unfolding in your life could be showing up. And you
Yeah.
look at the house 1 through 12, and that'll give you the clue as to what area of your life could potentially be uh, reorganized.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Like if it's the 11th house, then maybe it has something to do with your community. That's the house of friendship. It has something to do with your community or any group or club that you're a part of. Maybe it's time to edit some of that down, or to try something new, or to get rid of the old way and be open to different perspectives on how the group should be run. If it's the ninth house, you're channeling in a different philosophy. Uh, it might be a good time to journal and just flush out all the thoughts that are coming through that you're channeling through. Um, what are the different perspectives that you've had in your life that are no longer serving you, that are maybe limiting you? They're limiting you from progressing to where you actually want to be.
Hmm. Eclipse season can feel really intense.
Mhm.
And so we've had obviously the one earlier in September, and now we have the one that we're coming into on September 21st. Do you have a rule of thumb as to how long these energies will last into our life? Like how long are we going to be dealing with these themes or this new information that's come up as a result of these two eclipses in September? How long does that last?
Are you saying like how long do you feel like the effects of the eclipses? Is that
Yeah, or like if let's say the example you used of the 11th house, and we're kind of rewriting what our involvement in the community is or groups that we belong to. How long could that potential theme of editing our community groups that we belong to, how long did we have that play out in our life for?
I mean, it could be sudden or it could be something that ripples across, through to the next several eclipses. Like what you notice is when you really start to examine the eclipses is like the patterns that are occurring. It's like this is just one stage. There was the previous stage that happened earlier in the year, and then the state two stages the year before, and so on and so forth. So I would encourage anyone listening to really look back at the dates of all the eclipses, let's just say over the last 5 years. And I would be willing to bet that you would see a pattern that has occurred around those dates, because I see it all the time just in terms of clients or people that I'm working with. When we look back and they're like, oh my god, well, this happened back in 2022, and then 2023 in the eclipses this happened, and 2024 that happened, and now 2025, and you can all connect it back to 2022 when that one thing happened. So it's not like the faucet just turns off. Like everything is changed. Everything is shifted, and so it's going to continue to shift down this new path. So I mean,
Hmm.
I would just recommend to anyone listening to just be open to the shifts that are occurring. Like I feel like eclipses are hardest when you're clinging to the way things are.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you're clinging to the way things are, the eclipses are going to be hard. If you're
Hmm.
open to allowing the shifts and changes to occur that are meant to occur, then you won't feel the tension as strenuously as you would otherwise.
Mm-hmm. That's good life advice too.
Thank you. Yes. I
Yeah.
feel like that's what the planets are. They're not here to hurt you, to harm you. They're here to help you grow. And the eclipses are easy places to pinpoint when these these it's like a growing pain period because it's intense. But as long as you're open to the flow and the transformation of life, just like what you've done to Lisa with, like, hey, what, I like the jar, but let's try something new here. Like just being open to doing something differently. um Fill it out. Be really, and the Virgo energy is helping you pay attention to the details. Is it working? If not, why do you keep forcing it to try to work? Because it used to work last year and the year before. Like things have changed, So
So much. Yeah.
you have to be open to keeping up with the changes.
I think there's a lot of people that are going to hear this week's episode and be struck by what you just said about how maybe it worked at one point, whatever it is, maybe it worked at one point.
Yes.
But there's so much that's changed in our daily lives, in the world, that we're now being asked what stays and what goes. And I think in a lot of instances, people already know what it is that is not working or has overstayed its welcome. And it's finding that bravery inside of ourselves to make the choice before the choice is made for us, to come from a place of empowerment
That's
and
it.
say, you know what? I'm going to be really honest with myself. This isn't working anymore. And I feel that now is the time to make that shift and adjust and an adjustment. And because Virgo is mutable at 29 degrees, this could be a big shift, this big opportunity that is being presented to you. And what will you do with this opportunity?
Yes, exactly. You know, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about your guy, the big dumper for the Mariners.
Cal
And
Raleigh, yeah.
yeah, Cal Raleigh. And I just think about baseball when we talk about this because, like baseball's like a sport where it's like if you're hitting the ball 3 out of 10 times, that's a great number. That it's an F, but it's it's amazing. And just thinking in terms of like pitching or hitting, like it doesn't matter if you went out last time and you did this thing and you got 4 hits, you know. The next time you might go out and do the exact same things and it doesn't work. So this is why, like in baseball, these players are constantly adjusting. They're adjusting their stance. The pitchers are adjusting how they hold the ball, or what pitches they're throwing or what sequences they're throwing them in because the other side is changing. They're like, that guy got 4 hits off these pitches. We need to do things differently than that team did to throw them off balance. So the world continues to change. You have to change with it. And Virgo is such a great sign that represents change because it's not some drastic like Sagittarius, you burn it all to the ground and start over, which is nothing wrong with that. Like that is, that's there's a time for that. But Virgo's not about big changes. It's about just one or two just little things, adjustments. A little adjustment can go a long way.
Mm, I love that. Yeah, don't be like the Mariners, or do be like the Mariners. They scored like 18 points the other day in a game. I'm like, how does that happen? Well, then you might want to ask, like, what was the other team not adjusting? Given that opportunity where they see all these runs coming in from the Mariners, what could you do to make those adjustments? And so,
Probably
yeah.
don't score 18 the next game, you know. It's an anomaly because teams are going to adjust to whatever they were doing, and the Mariners are going to have to continue to adjust as well to, you know, continue to put runs on the board.
Change is constant. Change is constant. So we're either flowing with the river of change or we're fighting against it, feeling like we're drowning.
Yes.
So the choice is yours. Yeah. Beautiful. I think we gave folks a lot to work with this upcoming solar eclipse on September 21st. And hopefully they had pen and paper or they can re-listen to get those key nuggets for Mercury in Libra on September 18th, Venus in Virgo on September 19th. And everybody looking for that tarot report drawing and the magic word, it was given to you earlier in the episode. So if you fast forwarded to the end, hoping to hear the word, eh,
Yep. I love it. I love it, Delisa. That's awesome.
that's what we do. We mix things up around here. We got to go with the ebb and flow of change. But yes, absolutely. And I know that you teach classes, you offer personal consultations, and you have your podcast. Everything is over at theweeklytransit.com. And all of my things, upcoming class I'm teaching, and more information about my work can be found over at spiritandspark.com. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week on September 23rd. Scott, any closing words you would like to share?
Just thank you. Thank you, Dallisa, for having me here. Thank you to everyone who's listened to us and has joined us in this conversation. I'm very grateful for you, Dallisa, for having me on. I'm very grateful to everyone listening for their time and attention. And I really hope that everything that we shared here is empowering to you and supports you through the days ahead.
Yay! Beautiful. Well, we'll see everybody on next week's show. And until then, keep riding through the river of change. We are all in this together, and Scott and I are happy to help. So we'll see you next time.